I rented a haunted house to save money. The first night I moved in, the shower turned on by itself. I yelled at the air, "Are you paying the water bill?" The water stopped instantly. I thought that was just the beginning. But the next day, I found 3 dishes and a soup on the table. There was also a note left beside it. Meal fee, 25. My mind raced through calculations. 3 dishes and a soup, with meat and vegetables. It looked amazing. A meal like that at a restaurant outside would cost at least 50. Split 50 to 50, only 25? That's a damn good deal. I picked up my chopsticks. I picked up a glistening piece of braised pork and put it in my mouth. It was so delicious I almost swallowed my tongue. I wolfed down the food, while mumbling complaints at the air. I said, "Hey, ghost lady, you're way too stingy. You're already dead. And you're still so nitpicky. Can't you open your mind a bit?" The air was dead silent. Only the sound of my chewing could be heard. After eating, I let out a satisfied burp. Looking at the greasy dishes, my laziness kicked in. I tentatively piled the bowls in the sink. Didn't wash them, just to test this roommate's limits. The next morning, I was woken by the faint clatter of pots and pans. I tiptoed to the kitchen door. I saw the bowls in the sink were washed sparkling clean, and stacked up neatly. There was another note beside them. This time it wasn't written in blood. It was in ordinary black pen. Dishwashing fee, 5 yuan each time, settled at the end of the month. I laughed in disbelief. How ironic. I, Lin Bei, have lived for over 20 years, and this is the first time I've met such a principled ghost. My competitive spirit was completely ignited. Let's duel, then. Bring it on. I deliberately put a bag full of trash by the door, blocking half the path. "If you've got the guts, throw it away for me." But the next day, the trash bag was gone, and a sticky note was stuck to the door. Errand fee, 10 yuan. I worked late into the night, dragging my half-dead body home. I fumbled in the dark to turn on the light. Suddenly, the living room light turned on by itself. The light was soft and not harsh. Something in my heart suddenly softened. Then a note fluttered down from the lampshade. "Leaving the light on for you. Electricity bill separate." The warmth that had just risen in me was instantly shattered by electricity bill separate. Those 4 big words smashed it to pieces. I rolled my eyes at the ceiling. Days passed in this ridiculous duel. Day by day, I gradually figured out my ghost roommate's temperament. Her name is Lu Ruyan. She has OCD. If I threw my underwear on the floor, that underwear would jump into the sink by itself. She also has obsessive-compulsive disorder. If even one book on my shelf wasn't arranged by height, it would definitely be neatly organized the next day. She's an excellent cook but holds a grudge. If I complained, the food is too salty, she'd feed me plain boiled tofu for 3 days straight. She's also sharp-tongued. I bought a discounted shirt and tried it on in front of the mirror. A line of words, formed by condensed steam, slowly appeared on the mirror. Terrible taste. Terrible fashion sense. Even worse wallet. I jumped up in anger. I yelled at the air, "Mind your own business. You're a miser who insists on splitting bills even after death." Then the words on the mirror changed to "right back at you." I started getting used to her presence. I even began to enjoy it a little. At least I never had to eat instant noodles again. At least in this cold, big city, there was someone who would leave the light on for me, even if that light came with a fee. One day, my only buddy, Ji Buchan, came to visit. I warned Lu Ruyan in advance. "My buddy's coming. He's easily scared. Behave yourself today, you hear me?" A magazine floated up from the table, with 2 huge letters on it, "Oh Ku." The next day, as soon as Ji Guochang walked in, he exaggeratedly sniffed the air. "Lin Bei, did you win the lottery? Did you hire a maid? This place is so clean, doesn't look like somewhere you'd lie. Your living habits have improved." As soon as he said that, the TV, which was playing an action Mu 6, suddenly switched to a financial channel. Ji Buchan was startled and jumped. "Where's the remote?" How did the channel suddenly change? Probably a bad connection. I calmly switched the channel back. We were chatting. The cup in front of Ji Buchan slid 5 centimeters towards the edge of the table. Whoa! What the hell? The cup moved by itself. I calmly moved the cup back. "Don't be scared. My roommate's a bit mischievous, but she cooks well." Ji Buchang stared at me in terror. His look was like he was staring at a crazy person. "Lin Bei, are you under too much pressure? Are you hallucinating?" I sighed, knowing this couldn't be explained. After sending the terrified Ji Buchan off, I sat on the sofa, feeling a bit lost. Then the living room light dimmed a little, becoming even softer. I turned my head to look at the huge floor-to-ceiling window. A tall, slender figure in a red dress appeared before me, clearer than ever before. She was still translucent, like a walking patch of mist, but I could see her long, flowing hair. She was meticulously wiping the window I hadn't cleaned properly this morning. Her movements were focused and serious, carrying an almost obsessive elegance. I suddenly felt that my buddy's worry, and the whole world's lack of understanding, didn't matter anymore. In this vast city, I finally had a home and a very unique family member, but the good times didn't last long. The chill of capitalism still blew onto this little working stiff. A cold imeo and a few lines of soulless official jargon ended the meager salary I earned from commuting 2 hours every day. Carrying a cardboard box, I walked through the bustling streets. For the first time, I felt like a piece of discarded trash. When I got home, I buried my head under the blanket. The suppressed grievance and anxiety finally burst its banks at that moment. I don't know how long I cried. From the living room, the faint sound of classical Mio Dike drifted over. It was my favorite piece, Dvorak's From the New World. I had once mentioned it while eating, talking to the air. This song is beautiful. Makes me feel like I can get through even the toughest days. I sniffled. Dragged my heavy steps out of the room. On the dining table was a plate of steaming cola chicken wings. A note lay quietly beside it. There were only 2 words on it, on the house. Finally, my tears fell uncontrollably, not because of grievance, but because of warmth. For the first time, I spoke seriously to the air. Thank you, Lu Ruyan. There seemed to be a very faint sigh in the air. After I was full, I turned on my computer, and started frantically sending out resumes. But all the resumes I sent out vanished without a trace. I got a few interviews, but I was always eliminated at the end. Watching the balance in my bank card decrease every day, anxiety gnawing at my nerves. I started having insomnia night after night. Finally, I received an interview notice from a dream company. Then I dug out my only suit, which I had kept at the bottom of my trunk. On the day of the interview, I got up early, because I was overly nervous. When buying breakfast at the coffee shop downstairs, my hand shook. A cup of scalding American coffee spilled all over my shirt. At that moment, I felt like the sky was falling. I ran home in a mess. I felt like dying. There was only 1 hour left until the interview. I had no time to buy a new one. Was I supposed to just give up like this? Just then, I heard a sound coming from the bathroom. The faint hum of the washing machine starting. I was stunned. I rushed over and saw the coffee-stained shirt tumbling inside the washing machine. 20 minutes later, the washing machine stopped. The drying function started. Another 20 minutes passed. A clean, warm shirt with a faint, pleasant scent was hung on my door by an invisible hanger. I stared at the completely renewed shirt, feeling like I was dreaming. I changed clothes and rushed out the door. It was rush hour on the way to the subway station. Watching the seconds tick by, I was sweating with anxiety. Just as I was about to turn and head for the bot, the subway ticket gate in front of me suddenly went beep. The green light came on, and the barrier opened automatically. I didn't have time to think. I dashed through in one stride, rushed onto the platform. The doors of the train I needed were slowly closing. It's over. My heart sank. Just as the doors were about to close completely, it seemed like something got stuck in the gap, letting out a piercing alarm. And then the doors popped open again. I scrambled and squeezed onto the train. On the train, I was gasping for air. My heart was pounding. This was all too coincidental. So coincidental, it felt like someone was clearing the path for me. I arrived at the company 5 minutes before the interview started. Every second waiting in the meeting room for the interviewer was torture. After a long time, it was finally my turn. I took a deep breath and walked into the room. 4 interviewers sat in a row. Their expressions were serious. My palms were sweating from nervousness. The prepared self-introduction was on the tip of my tongue, but my mind went blank. My brain had crashed. Just as I was awkwardly wishing the ground would swallow me up, a black pen on the table suddenly rolled to my hand. I instinctively grabbed the pen. The "see-you" touch instantly calmed me down. I looked down. On the pen body, 2 tiny but clear words were carved with a knife. Steady. My heart instantly settled. Those 2 words were like a shot of adrenaline injected into my body. Good afternoon, interviewers. My name is Lin Bei. I performed better than ever in that interview. A week later, I successfully received the job offer from that company. On my first day at work, I rushed straight to the supermarket, bought a good bottle of wine, and a lot of fresh ingredients. When I got home, I cooked a big table of dishes. Then I filled 2 glasses with wine. I raised one of them. Lu Ruyan. This glass is for you. Thank you, my golden support. The other glass shook slightly, letting out a crisp clinking sound, as if responding to me. I smiled, but my eyes were wet. I knew I wasn't alone. I had an invisible guardian angel. My cohabitation life with Lu Ruyan, after I got the new offer, entered an unprecedented state of harmony. I was responsible for making money to support the family. She was responsible for keeping the house in perfect order, and also used her business logic to supervise my spending and plan my finances. I even started to enjoy this unique companionship. Every day after work, there was a hot meal waiting. Every month when I got paid, I had a financial director to help me budget. Every time I encountered a work problem, relevant books and materials would mysteriously appear on my desk. She was like a silent mentor, a versatile butler, a familiar stranger. But I knew nothing about her past. As we became more and more in sync, my curiosity grew stronger. How did Lu Ruyan die? The vague report online said she died accidentally from gas poisoning, but I always felt something was off. I tried asking her, Lu Ruyan, how did you really die? The light in the room flickered. She seemed to want to express something, but was trapped by some force, unable to convey the message clearly. The more intense her reaction was, the more suspicious I became. Finally, I decided to start with the house itself. I found the real estate agent who had rented me the house, Mu Yulu. I arranged to meet her at a nearby restaurant, using the excuse of asking about renewing the lease. Mu Yulu was still her warm and friendly self. Mr. Lin, are you getting used to living there? That house has a great location and a good layout. It just had a bit of an incident before. Most people can't handle it. Seeing how good your complexion is, I knew you'd be fine. It's really good. I'm just a bit curious. What exactly happened in this house before? I looked it up online, but there was only one very vague news article, saying the owner died unexpectedly. It's all in the past. Just an accident. Young man, don't overthink it. Just lie there peacefully. The feng shui of that house is actually quite good. Look, not long after you moved in, you even got a better job. Your luck is turning around. He skillfully changed the subject, constantly urging me not to overthink it. His enthusiasm seemed strangely off to me. A normal agent would only care about the rent and the contract. Why was he so concerned about my mental health? And why was he repeatedly stopping me from learning about the house's past? After exchanging pleasantries, I said goodbye to Muyulu. But this meeting didn't dispel my doubts. Instead, it put me on high alert. That night, I had a terrifying dream. In the dream, I was standing in a thick white fog, unable to see my surroundings clearly. I heard a familiar yet strange voice, arguing fiercely. Lu Rui, I considered you a friend, and you dare to touch this money? Muyulu, you're crazy. Ruyan, help me one more time. One last time, I promise I'll cover the whole. Impossible, this is the client's money. You're committing a crime, so you're going to drive me to my death? The argument grew more intense. Finally, I heard a heavy, dull thud, and the sound of something falling over. Then everything went silent. I woke up with a jolt, my heart pounding. My back was ice cold. That dream was too real. Muyulu, in the dream, Lu Ruyan had called out that name. I turned on the light and noticed the study door was ajar. I remembered closing it before I went to sleep. I walked in. I saw the locked drawer at the very bottom of the desk was now open. Inside lay a black leather diary. My heart skipped a beat. Was Lu Ruyan guiding me? With trembling hands, I opened the diary. The diary mostly contained entries about financial investments and daily trivia. I flipped through it quickly. Finally, in the latter half of the diary, I found a frequently appearing name. Muyulu. The diary recorded Lu Ruyan and her business partner collaborating on an investment project. Later, she discovered Muyulu had been behind her back, embezzling a large sum of money to speculate in high-risk cryptocurrencies, and ended up losing it all, leaving a huge financial hole. Lu Ruyan wrote in her diary, I can't believe Muyulu would do this. Years of trust mean nothing in the face of greed. I must make him take responsibility for his actions, no matter the consequences. This was her last diary entry. Muyulu, my blood ran cold. I took the diary back to the living room, and asked the heir, my voice trembling, Lu Ruyan. Was it Muyulu who killed you? As soon as I said that, the temperature in the whole room plummeted. The crystal chandelier above began to shake violently. The clock on the wall fell to the floor, with a sharp, shattering sound. This was the strongest reaction I had ever seen from her. But this reaction confirmed all my suspicions. Lu Ruyan didn't die accidentally. She was murdered. And the murderer, who was still at large, was that seemingly friendly real estate agent, Muyulu. The truth was like an ice-cold dagger, piercing the facade of my peaceful life. I looked at this home, kept spotless by Lu Ruyan, and felt a bone-chilling cold for the first time. I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Lin Bei, you can't be a coward. Lu Ruyan, don't worry, I'll help you put her where she belongs. The lights in the room stopped flickering, and returned to a warm hue. I took a deep breath and started making a plan. I needed evidence. The diary was an important clue, but it wasn't enough to convict her. I needed to make Zhou Muyulu slip up herself, using my interest in investment and finance, and wanting to consult an expert as an excuse. I contacted Muyulu again. This time, I arranged to meet her at a noisy outdoor cafe, and I had already turned on the voice recorder on my phone. Little Lin, you're so ambitious. Just changed jobs and you're already thinking about managing your finances. What can I do? I'm tired of being poor. Mainly, Sister Mu, you have good taste. You recommended such a great house to me. It turned my luck around. Speaking of which, I'm still curious about the previous owner, Miss Lu. I heard she was a financial elite when she was alive. Did she do investments too? I stared intently at Muyulu's eyes. When I mentioned the name Lu Ruyan, her pupils contracted almost imperceptibly. Miss Lu was a remarkable woman. It's a pity. Heaven is jealous of geniuses. I recently found some of her diaries and notes at home. There are so many professional terms I don't understand. Sister Mu, you were close to her. Could you take a look for me? I dangled the bait appropriately. Muyulu's expression finally changed slightly. Her hand, holding the coffee cup, trembled. Diary? Oh, other people's personal belongings. We shouldn't go poking around in them. Little Lin, living in that house. You haven't encountered anything strange, have you? Strange? Like what? Like hearing sounds in the middle of the night, or things moving by themselves. Her voice was very low. Her eyes held a hint of probing. My heart sank. She was testing me, testing whether I knew about Lu Ruyan's existence. No, not at all. I sleep like a log. Maybe my horoscope is just strong enough. We spent that meal probing each other, but neither of us got the answers we wanted. From that day on, I felt like I was being watched by an invisible pair of eyes. On my way home from work, I always felt footsteps behind me, neither too close nor too far. But when I turned around, there was nothing. The paranormal events at home also started to become unfriendly. No more orderly housework and thoughtful lights left on. In the middle of the night, the sound of sharpening a knife would come from the living room, over and over, especially eerie in the dead silence. A bright red handprint would suddenly appear on the bathroom mirror, as if someone had just struggled to crawl out from inside. I knew this wasn't Lu Ruyan's doing. Lu Ruyan's paranormal activity had a sense of order and a kind of awkward tenderness, but this was pure malice and intimidation. Muyulu must have used some method, or hired someone to deliberately create a haunting, to scare me away. She was afraid I would find something I shouldn't in Lu Ruyan's belongings. One late night, I was woken from a nightmare. I saw a thin layer of frost had formed on the bedroom window. On the frost, words were slowly forming. It was Lu Ruyan. She used all her strength to write 3 words on it. Danger. Leave. Her handwriting was no longer as strong as before. It was crooked and distorted, as if it could disappear at any moment. My heart clenched tightly. She was protecting me, even though she herself was trapped here. Her first thought was still to get me out of this dangerous vortex. I walked to the window, wiped away those 3 words with my hand, and said softly but firmly to the cold glass, I'm not leaving. This is our home. The one who should leave is someone else. The next day, I took leave, and bought a few things online. Miniature cameras disguised as phone chargers and decorative ornaments. One pointed directly at the front door, one placed in the corner of the living room, and another hidden on the bookshelf in the study. On the 3rd day after installing the cameras, Mu Yulu called. Little Lin, are you home? The gas company is doing a district-wide safety inspection. As the agent, I need to accompany them to check the pipeline situation at your place. When would be convenient for you, checking the gas pipes? What a perfect excuse. It allowed her to enter the house legitimately, and also set the stage for her next move. I suppressed my disgust. Sure, I'm home today. You can come over anytime. After hanging up, I immediately left a message for Lu Ruyan. I wrote on a sticky note, she's coming. Act according to the situation. After writing, I placed the note in the most visible spot in the living room. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang. I saw Mu Yulu through the peephole. I opened the door and pretended to welcome her warmly. Sister Mu, thanks for your trouble. No trouble at all. It's for the residents' safety. Her eyes, from the moment she stepped into the room, never stopped moving. She was like a venomous snake, scanning the living room, dining room, and balcony. Finally, her gaze landed on the closed door of the study. She walked towards the kitchen, and I followed. She pretended to tap and knock around the gas stove and water heater, but her mind was clearly elsewhere. Just then, a dining chair beside his foot suddenly slid half a meter backward. Hey, Mu Yulu turned around, his face pale, but the living room was empty. What's wrong, Sister Mu? Nothing. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. He forced himself to stay calm, but a thin layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. This only confirmed his guilty conscience. A person with a clear conscience wouldn't be so scared by a moving chair. I'm going to the bathroom. Through the reflection of a mirror in the corner of the living room, she stared intently at his movements. He took 2 steps, but suddenly changed direction, and tiptoed toward the study. He's coming. His target was Lu Ruyan's belongings in the study. My heart was in my throat. Just as his hand was about to touch the study door handle, the light bulb in the bathroom suddenly exploded. Then the faucet, shower head, and toilet tank. Every place that could release water, all turned on automatically at the same time. Mu Yulu let out a piercing scream, and scrambled away from the study door. I immediately rushed over, pretending to be even more panicked than him. What's wrong, Sister Mo? The house. The bathroom. Ah, he's lie this often, you'll get used to it. Maybe the wiring is old. Mu Yulu looked at the messy bathroom, then glanced at the eerily quiet living room. Brother Lin, I don't think there's anything wrong with the pipes. I have things to do at the company, so I'll go now. He practically fled to the door, hastily put on his shoes. As he pulled the door open and slipped out, he turned back and looked at me. That look had no more pretense. It was cold, venomous, and filled with undisguised murderous intent. My heart tightened, but I didn't flinch. I calmly met his gaze. The door slammed shut. I leaned against the door, let out a long breath. My legs went weak, and I nearly collapsed. The sticky note in the living room that said act according to circumstances silently fluttered to the floor. I walked over and picked it up. I won. First round. I immediately opened my phone to track the camera playback. The 6DO clearly recorded Mu Yulu sneaking toward the study, and his final, murderous glare. One more piece of evidence, but I knew this failed probe would only make him more reckless. Next time, he wouldn't bother with any disguise. The storm came faster than I expected. After Mu Yulu's failed probe, he completely tore off his hypocritical mask. He knew the house was haunted. He decided to use that to his advantage. He was going to repeat his old trick. He was going to make me die in a carefully staged accident. Gas poisoning. At 2 in the morning, I was jolted awake by a heavy thud in the living room. It sounded like someone had climbed over the balcony and landed. It was him, Mu Yulu. I held my breath and quietly slipped out of bed, hiding behind the bedroom door. I peeked through the crack. In the living room, a dark figure was moving slowly. He was carrying a tool bag, heading straight for the kitchen. My heart was pounding, almost leaping out of my throat. I forced myself to stay calm. I grabbed my phone from the bedside table, turned the brightness down to the lowest. With trembling fingers, I dialed 110. When the call connected, I didn't speak. I just pointed the receiver toward the living room. It was a survival tip I'd seen before. A silent call for help. The operator would assume you're in danger and triangulate your signal. After doing all that, I immediately opened the camera EP and turned on the Leishi trim. Then, with a preset emergency message, I sent the Leishi trim link to my buddy, Ji Buchang. Buchang, if something happens to me, this is evidence. Don't call the police. Wait for them to contact you. After sending the message, I clutched my phone tightly, hiding behind the door, not daring to move. In the living room, Mu Yulu had reached the kitchen door. He was going in to tamper with things. Just as he pushed open the kitchen door, a sudden change occurred. A loud bang. The kitchen door slammed shut right in front of him. Mu Yulu was startled by the sudden event. Then he reacted. He started pounding on the door frantically. Open up. Open the damn door. Who's in there? Come out. Through the crack in the door, I saw in the living room air a translucent figure fluctuating violently. It was Lu Ruyan. Her figure was dimmer than ever. Like smoke about to be blown away. I could feel that just closing and locking that door had drained almost all of her strength. She was using her existence to buy me time. Mu Yulu couldn't open the door, so he started kicking the old wooden door. It creaked under the strain. With each impact, Lu Ruyan's figure became more transparent. I saw her once clear outline begin to blur and fade. My heart felt like it was being crushed by an invisible hand. It hurt so much I couldn't breathe. I couldn't stay hidden anymore. I couldn't just watch her be destroyed to protect me. A surge of courage from somewhere instantly overwhelmed all my fear. I looked around, and my eyes landed on the corner. On the frying pan I used for working out. I rushed over and grabbed the heavy pan, holding it tightly with both hands. Just then, with a crash, the kitchen door was kicked open by Mu Yulu. He charged out like an enraged beast. His eyes were red. He saw me, saw the pan in my hand. You little brat, still trying to fight back? Today, both of you die. He lunged at me with a knife. I didn't step back. Instead, I charged toward him. Using all my strength, I slammed the pan hard into his head. A dull, heavy thud. Mu Yulu fell to the ground. At the same time, out of the corner of my eye, Lu Ruyan's last faint figure completely dissolved into specks of light, dispersing into the air. Navigation, she's really gone. In the air, a note drifted down and landed at my feet. It was written in the familiar bloodstains, but with a tenderness I'd never felt before. Protection fee, 1 life. This one's on me. My strength was instantly drained. The pan slipped from my hand, clattering loudly to the floor. I fell to my knees, staring at that blood-stained bill. Tears streamed down my face, but I couldn't make a sound. The sound of sirens grew closer. I was saved, but my world was also empty. The police arrived in time, and arrested the unconscious Mu Yulu. I was hailed as a hero who fought off a criminal. Wrapped in a blanket, I was taken to the police station. My phone recordings, the home camera footage, and the Lychee trim link I sent to Jibuchan became the ironclad evidence that nailed Mu Yulu. In the interrogation room, facing a kind female officer, I told her everything that happened. Of course, I left out Lu Ruyan's existence. I just said that after I rented the house, I always felt like it had some warning functions. Lights flickering when there was danger. Things falling. This time, the kitchen door closed by itself, buying me time to call for help and fight back. Maybe the previous owner's spirit was watching over me. The female officer didn't press further. She just patted my hand sympathetically. With these clues, the police quickly found a breakthrough with Mu Yulu. His phone call records, bank statements, and financial transactions with an underground casino, all clearly pointed to one fact. Years ago, after losing money in the stock market, he not only embezzled his clients, Lu Ruyan's huge sum of money, but also racked up massive gambling debts. After Lu Ruyan found out and asked him to turn himself in, he was cornered and killed her. First, during an argument with Lu Ruyan, he knocked her unconscious with a heavy object. Then he faked a gas leak scene, staging a perfect accident. All these years, he had been monitoring the house as a real estate agent, afraid a tenant might find some clue. When he sensed that I might have formed some connection with Lu Ruyan, he decided to kill me, trying to use the same method to make me the new secret in this house. A few days later, major news outlets reported the cold case. That had been solved. Lu Ruyan's name was finally no longer linked to ridiculous words like accidental death. Her name was cleared. I sat in attack 11, looking at the news on my phone. I let out a long breath. Relief, but mostly emptiness. I went back to that house, back to the place she and I called home. I pushed open the door. It was clean and tidy. Sunlight streamed through the spotless floor-to-ceiling windows. Everything was exactly as I had left it. Everywhere were traces of her existence. Neatly arranged books, spotless floors, clearly categorized seasonings in the kitchen. But I knew she was gone. There would be no more bloodstained notes about splitting the food bill. No more warm lights left on with a note about electricity costs. No more blurry figure in a red dress, ironing my clothes late at night. For the first time, I felt such immense, suffocating loneliness and grief. I sat down on the sofa, hugging the cushion she used to sit on most, burying my face deep into it. I finally broke down and cried. When I was tired of crying, I started tidying up the room. I thought, she loved cleanliness so much, I couldn't leave this place a mess. While organizing the study, I found another black ledger under the diary. It was the ledger between her and me. Every entry was recorded. May 10th, dinner, split the bill. Lin Bei owes 25 yuan. May 12th, washing dishes. Lin Bei owes 5 yuan. May 15th, taking out the trash. Lin Bei owes 10 yuan. I flipped through it page by page, laughing through my tears. This little habit. I turned to the last page. I thought it would be a total amount owed, but it wasn't a bill. It was a line of text, a line written in black ink, still elegant, but with a tenderness I had never noticed before. Lin Bei, lie well. Eat on time. Don't miss me. My defenses crumbled completely the moment I saw those words. I hugged the ledger and crouched on the floor, crying like a child abandoned by the whole world. I know it's not human. Life returned to so-called normalcy. I continued working at the company I had dreamed of. Every day in the cubicle of the office building, I played the role of a stable adult. No one knew what a life and death ordeal I had been through. No one knew how important a person I had lost. I didn't move out. Ji Buchang advised me several times. He said this place was too heartbreaking. I should change my environment and start over. I refused. I said this was my home. I unconsciously started following the rules between Lu Ruyan and me. After eating, I would immediately wash the dishes, dry them and put them back in the cupboard. When the trash bag was full, I would take it out right away, never letting it stay overnight by the door. I started learning to cook. Even though it tasted terrible, I insisted on making food for two. I would place the other portion on the empty seat opposite me. Then I would chatter to the air about what happened at work today, the weird clients I dealt with, the project bonuses I got. I knew there would be no more responses, no more handwriting mocking my taste appearing on the mirror, no more classical Neo Dike playing when I was sad. But I stubbornly kept these habits, as if that way, she had never left. I started working like crazy, harder than ever before. I landed several big projects, got promoted and a raise. My career was thriving. My colleagues said I was like a different person, calm and decisive, like a tireless machine. Only I knew, I wanted her to see. I wanted her to know that I was really living well. With my first big project bonus, I went to a suburban cemetery. I found Lu Ruyan's grave. In the photo, she looked younger than I imagined, wearing a red dress. Delicate features, a faint smile on her lips. She was a very beautiful woman. I placed a bouquet of white chrysanthemums in front of the grave. Then I took out a bill printed on A4 paper from my bag, and lit it in the brazier. It read, rent, utilities, security fee, emotional damages, total, a lifetime. Lu Ruyan has paid in full. Next life, who will pay me back? The firelight illuminated my face. I smiled, but tears fell. After doing all that, I thought the shittery between her and me had come to an end. Until that day, when I worked late on an urgent project. Dragging my exhausted body, I opened the front door. It was pitch black. Out of habit, I reached for the switch on the wall. Click. The familiar floor lamp in the living room turned on. Warm, soft light. I froze. My gaze slowly moved to the dining table in the living room. On the table was a steaming glass of milk. White vapor rose in the light. My mind went blank. I stood like a statue, rooted at the entrance, not daring to move, not even daring to breathe. Everything before me was so familiar, yet so unreal. Was it a hallucination? My heart, after being silent for so long, started pounding violently again. I tentatively, in a voice barely above a whisper, called out, trembling, Lu Ruyan. Lu Ruyan. The living room was eerily quiet. Only the glass of milk was still steaming tirelessly. I lowered my eyes in disappointment. It was just my imagination after all. I laughed at myself and was about to change my shoes. Just then, I saw next to the milk glass, on the sticky note I used to leave messages for her, something seemed to be slowly appearing. I held my breath, staring intently at that small yellow piece of paper. A line of familiar handwriting in black ink appeared clearly, word by word. Light fee, 5 yuan. Milk fee, 15 yuan. Settle at the end of the month. My tears burst forth the moment I saw settle at the end of the month. I couldn't hold it in anymore, laughing and crying. Lu Ruyan, you cheapskate. You miser. In the light, the figure I had been longing for day and night, briefly materialized, clearer than ever before. Although still translucent, I could clearly see her in a red dress, with a familiar, doting smile on her face. She didn't speak, but her eyes said it all. So that day, her self-sacrifice didn't destroy her, it just drained all her power, putting her into a state like sleep. It was my longing for her, my day-by-day living well. My stubbornness in keeping this home intact, these strong thoughts, like a continuous source of energy, slowly awakened her from her slumber. Why didn't you leave? Your injustice has been cleared. You can go to where you're supposed to be. She didn't answer directly. Her figure floated to the shoe cabinet by the entrance, and pointed at the cabinet door. Puzzled, I walked over and opened the shoe cabinet. Next to my pile of sneakers and canvas shoes, there lay a brand new pair of women's slippers I had never seen before. I had bought them on a whim during my last trip to the supermarket. At the time, I didn't know why I bought them. I just felt that this home should have a pair of slippers like that. Life seemed to have returned to the starting point, but everything was completely different. I looked at her helpless, smiling face, and started laughing too. Yeah, why leave? This was her home. I was also her family. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the room, and also illuminating two souls leaning on each other. We would be each other's most special family, continuing in this bustling city, to write our cohabitation shittery, and of course, that sweet ledger that would never be